Take a second for me. Look at the people surrounding you. If you're alone, think about your friends and peers. What makes these people different from you? How are you similar? Hi, my name is Tristan Osena, and I'm a straight, white passing man. Now, some of you might be wondering why I've decided to introduce myself like that. I want to start by noting how, because of my privilege, I've never had to personally face incidences of racism, sexism, or any other discrimination based off of my identity. However, this doesn't mean that this discrimination doesn't exist in our society, and it definitely doesn't mean that I'm not responsible or affected in some way or another. If you look in the news, you can see countless examples of hatred and xenophobia. For those of you who aren't 100% sure what that is, xenophobia is the irrational fear of someone that is different from you and is often associated with acts of hatred and discrimination to those who are misrepresented in society. Looking at the world around us, we see so many examples of hatred aimed towards people who are perceivably different to the visible majority. Anti-Asian hate crimes, misogyny, sexual harassment, racism, homophobia. At first glance, some of us may seem desensitized to these words and phrases from how often we see them on the news or on social media. I've thought a lot about this, and that is a whole other problem within itself. Many of us are guilty at times of looking at these headlines and easily finding ourselves disconnected and unaffected by discrimination because, well, it didn't happen to me. But it's so important to remember that behind every one of these stories, there's a person who's been hurt, had their lives ruined, or even taken from them, based on a part of their identity they had no control over. This brings me to a question. Who here wants to be part of a society in which people are so often hurt, abused, and harassed that we can see it and not even bat an eyelash? I don't. This takes me on to my next point. You may be thinking, well, I know that. I've heard this message 1,000 times. But my question to you is, have you taken the time to really try and understand someone else's point of view? It's so easy to hear someone else's story and then move on with your life with little to no reflection on your actions. The real positive change comes from putting in the effort to learn about the realities of those around you with different stories. Let me give an example. Personally, just because of my identity, I rarely have to worry when I'm walking on my own or taking an Uber or public transportation. However, this isn't the case for many people in my community, and most likely many people watching this speech right now. The first time I was made to actively think about this was at the beginning of this school year. I had moved onto campus into boarding and was out for a walk with some of my female friends after study. I don't recall exactly how the topic came up in conversation, but they began talking about how, even on campus, walking on their own at night is an uncomfortable and oftentimes frightening task. At first I was slightly confused, not fully understanding the situation. My initial thoughts were from my own point of view, where I can't completely recognize the situation and emotions involved. But after further conversation, I did realize the severity of the issue. Walking in a public place alone, something that seems so casual to me personally, can and has proved to be stressful and even unsafe for many others. Learning and hearing about this from my friends and peers is not only saddening but worrying. However, worrying doesn't help people too much, and from talking to people I've actually learned that individually there are so many things that you can do. For example, you can support your friends in this situation by offering to walk with them, talking with them over the phone if you can't be there in person, and have them share their location with you so you can make sure that they're safe. These are all simple actions that everyone can take to help their friends feel safer in the future. And pertaining to any other issue that affects people that you're close to, the best thing that you can do is simply ask how you can support them and go on to do that in the future. I've learned so much from my friends and peers about issues in society that I would otherwise not know about, just because it isn't something that I need to actively worry about in my daily life. But the fact that an issue doesn't directly harm me doesn't mean that I can't be a part of the solution. As a matter of fact, it's my duty to be understanding and supportive and learn about these situations so that I can go on to be a better, more supportive friend in the future. I greatly encourage everyone listening to make an active effort to reach out to your friends and hear what they have to say and hear how they're feeling to be a better ally to them in the future. Nothing in life is to be feared. It is only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more so that we may fear less. Marie Curie said this. She was a Polish physicist who won the Nobel Prize for both chemistry and physics for her discovery of radium and her astounding research on radioactivity. While Marie Curie lived in the 19th and 20th centuries, I believe that these words are just as applicable to us today. Looking at the state of our surrounding world, we see polarization at unmatched levels. Take politics as one prime example. We see the political spectrum divided into two seemingly opposite extreme sides, which has been the increasing cause for conflicts in recent times. As people often choose a side to agree with and refuse to budge or learn from people with differing ideologies, closing themselves off from further understanding. It's easy to see how this can be damaging. Although this is an extreme situation, it's one that we've all watched far too much. But if we boil this down to the main causes, closed-mindedness and misunderstanding, we can all find ourselves guilty at one point or another. I'm sure I have. But the world hasn't ended yet, so it's safe to say there's still time. The point I'm making is, despite your views or which stance you take on a disagreement, it's important to keep your mind open and try to recognize other points of view so that you can gain a deeper understanding of your surrounding world. In the words of former United Nations Secretary General Kofi Annan, knowledge is power, information is liberating, education is the premise of progress in every society. To elaborate, knowledge and education of yourself and those around you is the base of positive progress. And to close yourself off from information not only hinders progress for yourself, but for those around you. Action. What does that mean in reference to the topics I'm covering today? People's individual and collective actions are what cause change once an idea gains support. As courageous and terrifying it may seem to put yourself out there and take action towards an idea you're passionate about, it's the only way you can incite change in the world around you. Whether that be speaking up publicly, raising awareness and starting conversations surrounding certain issues, volunteering to help yours or someone else's community, or any other act which makes progress towards your passions. I won't lie, speaking up has never been one of my strengths, and I'd like to think that speaking today is a step in the right direction for me. For those of you watching this today and hoping to take action on any issue for any purpose, I'd suggest first work to gain a deeper understanding of the situation through research as well as personal stories. You can start small with petitions and other activities to raise awareness, and then from there work your way up, gaining experience, possibly partaking or planning fundraisers. Any action, no matter how small, makes a difference in the long run. I hope that my peers, friends, my community, and anyone else listening to me today will make an effort to learn not only from news and social media, but from personal stories and others' experiences. I challenge you all to reflect on yourselves and become more understanding, promote open-mindedness in your communities, and I challenge you all to hold each other accountable and work together in the future to make the world a safer place for everyone. I personally intend to do the same things that I've asked of everyone watching, as I continue to learn more and grow every day. My hopes for our future are that we'll be able to live in a world where we can learn from one another, rather than dividing people based on parts of our identity, because, under everything, we're all still human. To end on a positive, Appleby, I encourage you all to be vocal. Use your voice to promote progress and help people. Never stop learning. Take the time and effort to understand the world around you in your global and local communities. And never to sacrifice your morals. Grade 12s, we're about to spread out across the world and all enter new situations and have exciting new experiences. And I wish you nothing but the best. Thank you all for listening, and please rise to sing Let Us Build a House.